Ms. Johnson, we're ready. I apologize.
The time is 6:29 p.m. and I call to order the regular meeting of the Premont Independent School District Board of Trustees. Trustee Martinez, Trustee Peña, Trustee Falcon, Trustee Johnson, Trustee Morales, and Trustee Barrera. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. This meeting will be recorded and the minutes will be taken to document the proceedings. Audience members are required to follow the standard rules of order for conduct of a meeting, which allows audience comments during the open forum portion of the agenda. Please refrain from comments during the course of a meeting. Also, please silence all electronic devices. At this time, I would like to formally welcome our new superintendent, Ms. Marika Austin. Her first day of work, and she has work. Item 1C, open forum. The public may address the board on any item on the agenda or any other topic as provided by board policy BED local. If the topic deals with a complaint against a district employee, the public is asked to follow the guidelines specified in board policy FNG local. FB for gender bias, FDD, loss of credit for attendance, FB, section 504, FEFA, instructional materials, CKE, complaints against district peace officers, FNCJ, sexual harassment, FOAA, FOAB, and FOD, discipline, EHBA, IDEA, FMA, distribution of non-school materials, and GF, complaints against district policies, procedures, or operations. The board's role and responsibility at this time is to listen to comments. Formal action cannot be taken, nor is discussion regarding these items appropriate. Anyone participating in the public comment portion of this meeting must provide their name, the group they represent, if any, and a brief description of the information being presented. The board president may limit each individual or group will be allowed 5 minutes for the presentation. The board president may limit the total time allotted to the public comment portion of the meeting. So the first person we have, Amber Garcia, boys shaving for a friend. Move a little closer, that way we can all hear you. Okay, that's good.
Hello, my name is Amber Garcia.
Yes, we time. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Amber Garcia, and I came on behalf of the boys to help speak for them about the shaving. I wanted to address a few things, like the policy has no educational purpose, you know what I mean? Them shaving has nothing to do with our education. There's no evidence that having facial hair affects learning, behavior, or academic performance. Schools should focus on academic success, not controlling natural physical development. Such rules has no connection to education, and it's unnecessary and unfair for them. For example, like mandatory shaving can cause health problems. Many boys with sensitive skins can have acne. They can get razor burns, ingrown hairs, skin infections, or their acne on their face could just get worse. For some boys, it's not comfortable for them to shave. And when the boys shave, how can I say? I know I can't say it from their perspective because I don't know what it's like to grow hair like that. But when the boys have to shave, we're girls, we know. When we shave, it grows back faster and it grows back thicker, their hair. So that can be very uncomfortable for them. we could set a neat and clean standard. Maybe it'll work better. Most schools that don't require shave still use a simple rule. Facial hair must be neat, clean, and not distracting. This respects the student's individuality while keeping a professional appearance. Students learn responsibility without being forced into unnecessary grooming habits. As a woman, I come here to defend the boys on this. I feel that it's very unnecessary because it strips them of their masculinity. Boys don't even grow that much hair in our school, and instead of making them go bald and have irritated skin, they should teach them how to be men and keep it neat. Because in the real world, they have to, when they go to jobs and stuff, they have to have their face, it doesn't have to be like baby shaved, they just have to have it neat. They should be taught how to take care of this natural occurrence instead of making them shave. Most boys can be very insecure from this and break out very bad. That was just my concern to help them out because a lot of boys are very uncomfortable with shaving, and I think it shouldn't be a requirement. I mean, maybe if it's like out of control, you know what I mean, that's a different story, but I think they should be allowed to have it at least neat. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Amber.
Thank you.
So are the other boys going to speak, or are you speaking on their behalf? Because next I have Joe Ramirez. Boy shaving.
Right here's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
My name is Emmanuel Ramirez. I'm a junior here in Premont, and I personally, in my year living here, since I was a transfer, it's honestly real different having to shave, and it's very uncomfortable, in my opinion. It just really doesn't feel right that we have to keep it clean, or not clean shaved, but baby shaved. And I agree with Amber that if it was to be neat and cleaned up properly, that I feel like we should be able to keep our facial hair.
Okay. Is that it?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alfonso Villarreal, boy shaving.
Hello, my name is Alfonso Villarreal. I am a sophomore here at Premont ISD. I am not really with the shaving policy because the shavers that they have at the school, it's not mostly that. They're real thin and they give me like irritation, acne, and unnecessary things that I don't need. And I totally agree with Amber and the rest of my classmates how shaving isn't really educational. Like, you don't need it either. It doesn't mess with your educational purposes. It messes with acne. It gives you irritating skin. Sometimes I even get hives, man, from the single blades, and sometimes I have double blades. And when I deny shaving, I mean, I know it's a rule, man. We have to shave, but sometimes they don't have the double blades, and I deny shaving. So sometimes it feeds into ISS or certain actions that we don't need. But also, it is a rule, man, so shaving should, I necessarily don't believe we should be shaving, because I know students who grow hair, man, like in a day or two after shaving, and just having to repeat that every 2 days or every 3 days, man, it's not really, it's not, how do I say it, sorry, I'm a little nervous.
That's okay.
I just don't, me personally, man, I don't like shaving because my hair grows back like in a day or two, and repeating the same process, no, it's not for me.
Thank you very much, Alfonso. Next we have Miss Jessica Quintanilla, Livestock Show.
Can I stand at the podium?
Yes.
Right, good evening, members of the board, superintendent, all those in attendance. My name is Jessica Quintanilla, and I'm here today because of what happened to my daughter, Krista Galindo, which is a ninth grader here in our district. What happened to her at the recent show was very unacceptable, and while I will remain respectful, I also want to be very direct. Sorry. My daughter was denied the opportunity to show her animal, something she has worked tireless for. She put in the same hard work, dedication, and responsibility expected of every student in the program. She has shown for 6 years in Brooks County, and this would have been her third year in Jim Wells County. She did everything correctly. She was even allowed to validate her lamb. And I want to emphasize that no entry form was ever given to her afterward, a mistake that did not come from her end. Please know that she purchased her lamb from her own savings. This came from her college savings. Despite her commitment and doing everything she was supposed to do, decisions and communication failures by those responsible took away her chance to participate. A child should not pay the price for adults not doing their part. This wasn't a simple oversight. It was a failure of responsibility that directly affected a student who trusted the process. My daughter was not placed in an agriculture class this year as she should have been placed. Part of participating in shows include that they be placed in agriculture class. Because of this, communication was never given on any updates. Mind you, every year there's rules that always change. Therefore, we always have to keep up to date as why we are in agriculture classes. Now I understand we could go back and say that emails or what have you, but I've been in the place that I am and in my position, and we're not doing social media, we're not doing sports you, or we're not doing anything of emails. If we lack one source of information guidance, we as leaders are always failing. I'm asking for accountability. I want clear answers as to how this happened, why it was allowed to happen, and what will be done to ensure that this never happens to another student. When kids do their job, it is not too much to expect that adults do theirs and change. I respectfully request that the board thoroughly review this situation, address their actions or lack thereof that led to it, and ensure that procedures are followed consistently and correctly moving forward. Our students deserve a program that is organized, reliable, and fair. My daughter deserved better, and I will continue to advocate for her and every child who puts their heart into these projects. Because of this, our family has decided to withdraw from any further participation representing this district. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Isaac Luna, boy shaving.
Hi, I'm Isaac. Most of you guys should know me already. So I came to talk about the boy shaving, and I haven't read it down. So I came here today to let y'all know to rethink the rule about having students to shave. Most boys in our school barely even grow any facial hair, yet they are still told to shave just a few tiny hairs that no one even notices. It's also not fair how other students from different school districts come and take our college classes and have full-grown mustaches or beards, and we can't have any facial hair because it's the school board's rule. This rule doesn't help our learning or affect anyone in a negative way, so it feels unnecessary to have to walk into school and get asked to shave and not even tell us to have a good day or anything when we walk in. The small amount of facial hair doesn't bother anyone, and because safety is more important than enforcing a rule that doesn't really matter. I believe that shaving requirement should be removed. This would make school more comfortable and more understanding for everyone, or at least let us keep it nice and neat. Like whenever they tell us to shave, it takes up 10 to 15 minutes of our learning time. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. And Felipe Trevino, boy shaving.
I wrote it down. So, hi, my name is Felipe Trevino. I'm a junior here at Premont ISD, and I'm here to come to talk about shaving being allowed in school. Shaving can cause skin disease, scratches, and other diseases to your face. Shaving can also lead to bullying due to the way they look, or like say if they're a little bit on the big side, or you know, it if we could just keep it nice, clean, and well-kept facial hair, I think it would teach us boys to learn how to keep up with the facial hair. But that's all I have to say. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for those of you who participated in the open forum. Moving on. Item 2, Lone Star Governance. 2A, action, consider possible action to approve the November goal for STAR 3 to 8 EOC, GPM 4.1, 4.2, 4.3 percentage of special ed at meets GL or above.
Not on my end.
Give me time to scroll down.
That's not.
Oh, okay.
Is that the November one? November?
Closer.
Okay, good evening, board. So yes, Ms. Johnson did say we are on HB Goal 4, which has to do with STAR 3 through 5, specifically students making needs or masters. And this year our GPMs are different from last year when it had to do with HB 3 Goal 4. Our GPMs this year consist of the special education population. We're honing in on tracking those students making needs and masters. So for GPM, and let me preface with the primary progress measure for these specific GPMs is the STAR benchmark release test, and of course at the end is going to be the STAR test that they take at the end of the year. However, we didn't have a benchmark release. We're actually doing benchmarks right now. So in January, when this comes up again, we'll have the fall benchmark data specific to this. So therefore, we used the data we had, which is the iReady, M-Class, and CBA data. So with GPM 4.1, we're looking at grades 3 through 5, specifically in math, meets and masters, for our SPED population. So the baseline is the 24-25 data for our SPED population. 9% of them had or made meets or masters, meets or above. So our beginning of year, since this is math, we looked at the iReady data. They were at 5%, and end of year target is 11%. When we pulled CBA data, it was at 28%. There is a difference there. We'll discuss that a little bit further because we did get some questions. Looking on, we have RLA next, 3 through 5 RLA data. So for RLA, we pulled the M-Class, that's the beginning of year diagnostic that we had. The baseline was 11%. The beginning of year for M-Class was 13% for the student population. The end of year, middle of year target's 12%, end of year target's 13%. When we pulled the CBA data, it was at 12% for the beginning, 9% for the beginning of the year. The next goal progress measure, 4.3, is our high school group, grade 6 through 9, which 9 consists of Algebra 1 EOC. So we pulled iReady data for 6 through 8, and then Algebra 1 did have a beginning of year assessment, so we averaged that up, and it was 4%. Their baseline was 12%, and the beginning of year was at 4%. Pulling the CBA data, it showed 34% for this goal progress measure. We did have some questions, and I'll read it as it was presented. For GPM 4.1 SPED 3 through 5 math, and GPM 4.3 SPED 6 through 9 math, Algebra 1. The beginning of year percentages from iReady and CBAs are quite different, with the CBA's percentage already surpassing the middle of year and end of year GPM target. So the first question was, which assessment tool is more dependable or more accurate? And I did put responses in front of you. I don't know if everyone got to see them, but I will just read targeted points instead of having to read everything. The iReady is more dependable for baseline proficiency because it's a nationally normed assessment and it's adaptive, measuring broad mathematical skills, meaning the whole span of third grade, for the third through fifth grade. CBAs only measure recently taught TEKS or TEKS specific to that curriculum-based assessment. So scores may appear higher earlier in the year because it's specifically targeted to certain TEKS. Therefore, for this particular measure for GPM 4.1, with this particular data that we pulled, iReady would better predict STAR readiness than CBAs at this current term. If we were to pull CBA data for the whole year, that would probably be more predictive than iReady just at this time. There was research that iReady had conducted, and they pulled 2024 data, and it did say it was aligned to STAR. So for this particular case, iReady would be the one to more accurately do that. And then, like I mentioned, the second question is, what is the main difference between the two assessment tools? Like I previously mentioned, iReady measures the comprehensive skill development across the domains and adjusts to student performance. CBAs assess mastery on the specific TEKS taught within the unit. So the iReady will show long-term readiness, the CBA show immediate learning tied to the specific TEKS being taught. Another question similar to that, those GPMs. Based on the data, math DBA beginning of year 28% has met or is higher than end of year percent target. Were there additional instructional resources used that may have helped? So, as you know, teachers this year are implementing Bluebonnet learning. There's more internalization routines and lesson components that they follow. We've been doing that since day one. The use of manipulatives and reteach lessons strengthen the mastery of these certain skills for the TEKS. And the beginning of year CBAs, like we mentioned, cover only the initial units that were specifically taught, which are more targeted and not necessarily represent the full year of the reader. So at this point, it is going to show, because it's more targeted, the CBAs are going to show a little higher, but it may not be a truer picture for the end compared to iReady. I believe those were the only questions specific to Goal Progress Measures 4.1 through 4.3.
I had already learned all the previous, the old GPMs, now we're having to memorize all the new ones. But the easier thing, I mean, it's just special ed, so it shouldn't be very hard to keep up with those numbers. When I saw the CBA data, I thought, wow, that's great. We already met the end of the year target, so I saw it as but thank you for explaining the difference between the iReady and the CBAs. I'm a little familiar with the CBAs, not so much with iReady. It was just, for me, it was just the gap in the percentages, kind of like, wait a minute. So I hope that was a good enough question. I know I sent it to the two of you. Is there anything that I missed, or from either one of you? No?
No. I mean,
Was my question okay, though?
We kind of foresaw one of those when we were, because we didn't have the data we wanted to present, which was the benchmark data.
Yeah.
And then looking at the progress monitoring calendar, we saw that it was on the January portion of the calendar. So at first, did we do iReady data, did we do CBA data? We were like, let's just show both and then explain the difference. So we kind of foresaw that these questions were asked. So thank you for asking. I don't know if Ms. Austin,
if this is on, well, maybe you can hear me otherwise. So thank you, Dr. Gonzalez, for doing such a great job of explaining that. I will add that you will see the data fluctuate throughout the year. Piggybacking on what Dr. Gonzalez shared is the CBA data, curriculum-based assessment data, is for a moment in time for the units that are being covered at that time. Our iReady data we're going to be testing pretty much the same thing all year. And so what we want to see consistently happening throughout the year is we want to see iReady going up throughout the year. Because those skills, we're monitoring the growth of those skills and how students are progressing in those specific skills. Whereas each time we give curriculum-based assessments, those are going to be different skills each time. Therefore, the data will fluctuate. However, as we get closer to the end, and we get more comprehensive data, when we start testing all of the standards together, we're really going to be looking very closely to ensure that our students are showing strengths for our special education population as well as all of our students. So hopefully that helps.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Any comments from the board on GPMs 4.1, 4.2, 4.3? Not? Take action.
I move that we approve the November Goal 4, Star 3 through 8 DOC, GPM 1, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3% of SPED at meets grade level or above, as presented by administration.
Motion made by trustee Martinez. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Seconded by trustee Morales. All in favor? Trustee Barrera, trustee Morales, trustee Johnson, trustee Falcon, trustee Peña, and trustee Martinez. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item 2B, consider impossible action to approve the November guardrail GPM 5.1 attendance report.
Yes, ma'am. So as y'all know, this is going to be a monthly report as per the progress monitoring calendar and per the actual guardrail progress measure, where it says monthly updates will be provided to the board. And just to keep in mind, the end percentage that we're reaching for is 93%. So the first one you will see is the 2 campuses. Because we had already completed a 9-week period the first quarter, I combined those and did the first 9-week average, then weeks 10, 11, and 12. And then at the beginning, you will see the average for all of those combined. So right now, we have our elementary at a 93.400%, and our high school is 91 and 6900%. So our elementary is right there, and our high school still needs a little bit. District average 92.34, as y'all saw on the previous slide. We need to increase the high school a little bit more to even it out, and it's also broken down the same way by the 9 weeks, week 10, 11, and 12. We did have 2 questions. One incentive helped increase the district's ADA from week 11 to week 12. So to answer that first one, week 11, I don't know.
I know, I met with Miss Austin. For me, if I saw a gain, right away she said, but yeah, but that was what we had before. There was a drop, so we were at the same place. And she explained to me county fair. I'm like, I felt like, oh my. So I wasn't going to email you until, you know what, don't even. Don't even
So I did make the notation.
I just saw a thing going up, and I thought that was great, but they said, no, look at what happened before the dip. We were where we were before the dip. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yes.
So, okay.
It was a
So county fair.
2-day instructional week. So that did have an impact on.
I completely forgot. I don't remember what week we had county fair and all that, so that makes a lot of sense. So although, like I said, we had a good discussion about that, so.
And then the second question for this guardrail progress measure, what course of action that has not previously been implemented or effective in the past does the superintendent have in place to prevent absences and truancy? And I believe we have a family support team that meets at each campus. So we're going to continue that and then take from there what's been implemented and the level of effectiveness. And because it's Ms. Austin's first week back, we're going to give her time to look at that more thoroughly before we continue, or before we make drastic changes or or so she can fully see what's effective and what's not effective. This coming in at this point, she's gonna be, it's what we say, and what we say may not be what she feels is effective and not effective. So to give her that, she'll go to those meetings and get information from there. She does want to create a district attendance committee to implement proactive strategies. So we do have campus attendance committee, so we're going to create a district one. And start an attendance campaign where we're proactive and set goals. And,
Thank you.
And if I may
Yes,
add,
you may, of course.
first of all, shameless plug for those of you that can make it. We're going to have community forum at the high school Thursday of this week, 6 p.m. and then again on Friday morning at 9 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. So I wanted to talk a little bit about attendance. We know that that's a great area of opportunity for us as a district. And so my first course of action is, in order to determine what's next, we have to determine what we've already done. So it's going to be very important to collect baseline data about what strategies have been implemented, the level of effectiveness of those strategies, and why. Why have they worked or not worked? And then from there, it's not just a Ms. Austin decision, but I truly believe in a collaborative effort. So I am petitioning the community, parents, students, oh, they already left, students to really, because we need to hear from them. We want them to come to school, so then we need to know what's keeping them from coming to school. And so this attendance committee that I am proposing will include everyone so that we can all sit around the table and come up with some comprehensive and sustainable solutions. And then ultimately, some of the questions that I've asked so far is about, I know we have incentives, I know we have some things happening on both campuses as it relates to attendance. I know Dr. Gonzalez sends a report out every single day where we're celebrating those who have bright spots and moments of success. And I'm also wondering, how are we being proactive? For instance, in some districts, usually around the holidays, attendance takes a dip. We know that. If we know that already, what do we do to get ahead of that? Instead of being reactive after it's already happened, what do we do to get in front of that? So that's what I mean by proactive strategies in that response.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And just to remind the public, our goal for the year is to, our goal is 93%. So that's why, yes, attendance has to be looked at every single day. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. Thank you, Ms. Austin.
Thank you.
Any comments for 2B? If not, do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the November guardrail GPM 5.1 attendance report as presented by administration.
Motion made by trustee Peña. Do I hear a second? I say. Seconded by trustee Barrera. All in favor? Trustee Barrera, trustee Morales, trustee Johnson, trustee Falcon, trustee Peña, and trustee Martinez. And motion passes. Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. Next item on the agenda. 2C, consider impossible action to approve the November board self-evaluation for the audience. This is just a reminder that as a board, we have to evaluate our performance quarterly, on a quarterly basis. So it's that time of the year. What I will do for the next quarterly report is I will ask to present, at least to have on the screen the tool that we follow to score ourselves, so that we have an idea of all the different categories or criteria that we have to look at when we score ourselves. The board members have already been given the assignment, so we should already have numbers ready to place on this quarterly report. Okay, so vision and goals, the first one, vision and goals 1, last quarter we had 12 points, and I was responsible for that section. So I left it at 12. These are my scores, so you can tell me, you know, if you agree or disagree. So for Vision and Goals 1, my score is a 12. Vision and Goals 2, last quarter we had 12. I kept it at 12. Vision and Goals 3, the board has adopted constraints. Last quarter we had 9 points, and I kept that at 9 points for this quarter. Vision and Goals 4, the board has adopted superintendent constraint progress measures, CPMs. Last quarter we scored a 4, and I left that at 4. Again, because we haven't really, the community has not been informed, or we haven't presented to the community, so that's the reason why a lot of them didn't move up, because we haven't reached out to the community, and hopefully that will happen soon. So that's my reasoning for the first 4. If you think otherwise, please let me know. If it should be lower, or hopefully not lower. We shouldn't go low. We shouldn't go lower than what we have. Any other, for the first 4? Are y'all okay with those numbers? Okay, so then we have Progress and Accountability 1. The board invests at least half of its time to improving student outcomes. Last quarter we had 15, and that's the highest we can get. So who was in charge of that one?
Yes.
Okay, 15. Progress and Accountability 2, the board evaluates but does not interfere with progress toward improving student outcomes. Last quarter, we had 2. What?
I think we left it at 2.
Left it at 2?
I would just, I guess the implementation plan between, it says superintendent's implementation, I know, first day, but I don't ever remember the last implementation plan.
So, is that why you left it at 2?
1,
Oh. Okay, which bullet are you looking at?
the third one.
Evaluate the superintendent part on approaches. On approaches focus on page 27.
No, preparing to focus.
Preparing to
The
focus.
third one.
He's looking at preparing to focus.
Where-
Am I looking at the right one?
Page 27.
Page 27.
Page
Yeah.
27.
Been provided copies of the superintendent's implementation plans that include campus goals to make progress toward the student outcome goals.
So are you saying to leave it at 2 or to go down?
Well, I just didn't know, did we get that?
We were at a 2.
We were at a 2 last quarter. I looked at it and I put a 4 question mark because we did receive the staff use tracker. Dr. Ramos sent us all that information. If you haven't had time, please make time to look at everything that he sent us. They're by month. So he gave us a report on, staff time spent on governance using the staff use tracker. And then 1 quarter ago, the board performed, we did the self-evaluation using the instrument, and we voted and approved it. But I have a question mark. Either 4 or we want to leave it at 2, whatever the board. What do you think?
We did a 4. In the quarter report. Track the progress tracker.
We had not met 4. We had not met the meets focus because we had not received a report on the staff tracker, on the staff use tracker, and I believe Dr. Ramos' email provided that. I know you got the email from Dr. Ramos, probably, was it last week? It was a long email, a lot of attachments.
Oh,
So you may
yes,
not- I don't
I
know.
did see that.
So he did provide information on, that's why I put 4, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, he did a lot of, like, details about the
Yes,
report.
yes.
Yes, I did see that.
All those different numbers.
That's right.
So we should move to a 4.
Okay. Question about that? Okay, systems and processes. Who is in charge of that? Oh, the board operates in a way that allows the superintendent to accomplish the vision. Last quarter, we had 4. And I looked at it, I left it at 4. Who was in charge of this item?
I think we were too. We got it at 4. Did you give it at 4?
Page 28. We didn't move up, we can't move up because, as a matter of fact, we're still, we're in the process, or in progress, the adopting local policies pertaining to board work, so that's why I just left it at 4. The next one, advocacy and engagement. The board promotes the vision. Last quarter, we were at 1. And I have 1 right now because we have not hosted a community meeting to discuss the progress. We haven't had that. So that's why we still stay at 1. No, agree or disagree? Agree. Okay. And the last one, synergy and teamwork. The board works collaboratively with the superintendent to lead toward the vision. Last quarter, we were at 1. I don't know how you feel about 3 this quarter. Who was in charge of that? Was it Fred?
Yes. Actually, Fred was with us.
We're still at 1.
Which one?
I would say we're still at 1.
Still at 1?
Maintained an average attendance of 70% or higher throughout all regularly scheduled board meetings over the previous 3 months.
Okay, if it's 3, the board agrees that every member is responsible for the outcomes of all students, not just students in the region of the school system. Maintain an average attendance of 70% or higher throughout all regularly scheduled board meetings over the previous 3 months. And has set the expectation that information provided to one board member is provided to all board members. Thinking about attendance, though, we have had 5 out of 7 is what percentage? Y'all help me out with math. What's 5 out of 7?
1 point.
Huh?
5 out of 7? What is it?
What's the percentage?
0.7.
I can't do math. I'm just saying, have we had 70% attendance in the last 3 board meetings? I know we've had meetings that just...
She's a math teacher.
71%.
Oh.
Yeah.
What is it?
71%.
So they exceeded it.
78%, you said.
71.
Oh, that's close. So I don't know. Do we leave it at 1 or move it to 3? Leave it at 1?
Just stay at
1? Okay. So then we'll leave it at 1. So the total score last 3 months ago was 59. So this quarter, because we add 2 points to Progress Accountability 2, goes up 2 points. So we're up to 61. If I did the math correctly. And I know I still need to sit with you and go over all this with you. So is 61 correct?
Yes.
So from 59 to 61? Is that okay? Okay, so would I hear a motion?
I move to approve the November board self-evaluation as presented.
A motion made by trustee Peña. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by trustee Morales. All in favor? Trustee Barrera, trustee Morales, trustee Johnson, trustee Falcon, trustee Peña, and trustee Martinez, and motion passes. Okay, moving on. 2D, this is just information update on the Premont ISD board policy diet. In your packet, hold on, let me scroll. In your book, if you have the book on page 16, you have all the local policies that fall under governance. Okay, and then if you, someone's going to look at the book, go ahead. Am I the one on the computer? No, we're not on the computer. Okay, so this is, let me just briefly tell you what this is. We're not acting on this, it's just information. We will have the first reading hopefully at the December board meeting. But what this is prior to, before the ad hoc committee got together with Coach Ramos, or Dr. Ramos, to work on Section B, which is governance, just a local policy. He and our legal counsel spent numerous hours. We spent 5 hours. He and legal counsel spent like 10 hours. So what they did is it went through every single local policy and they made edits that correlate with everything that we're doing with Lone Star governance. So that's why you see a lot of red, all the red or all the edits made by Dr. Ramos and Mr. Castillo. So they did that, then the three of us, the ad hoc committee met with Dr. Ramos, and he kind of went through each one and asked us what we thought, and so we provided input, feedback. Pretty much it was, even had it not been for everything they had already done, it would have probably taken longer. So at this point, it's just to provide you the information that we have done the board policy diet. So the next step would be that we will present it to the board as a first reading, and then second reading, just like all the policies, and then we will adopt there are a lot of changes in here. So if you have not read all those red remarks, all those red edits, please make the time to do that, because there are this section, the governance section on our local policy is completely different than what you. This will be completely different than what you see online right now, if the board approves once we get to that point. So that's just all I had for the Premont ISD board policy guide. Again, this is just the section under governance in our local policy, and that's just information. Item number 3, reports. 3A, information, comparison of revenue to budget year to date. And that is in our packet. If you have any questions or comments for item 3A, information, comparison of revenue to budget year to date. Any questions or comments on that? If not, we move on. Any questions or comments? Okay, 3B, information district's cash flow report. That is right here. Look at the highlighted numbers. Remember, we're looking at the month of September. Any questions or comments on the report from Mrs. Moreno? Item 3B. Okay, moving on. 3C, information, first reading of TASB localized update 126. Again, these are all, this is the first reading of update 126. And that's a lot. I read through it, but I still need to go back and look through some more. Any questions on that, comments? Okay, moving on. Item number 4, consent agenda items. 4A, action, approval of minutes. 4B, action, consider impossible action to approve the student transfer and tuition agreement with La Gloria ISD for the 2025, 2026, and 2026, 2027 school years. 4C, action, consider impossible action to adopt TASB local policies, EFB local, instructional resources, library materials, FD local, admissions, students not enrolled, FM local, student activities, extracurricular, FNCE local, student conduct, personal communication devices, electronic devices. 4D, consider impossible action to approve an application for tax refund from Jim Wells County for tax years 2023 and 2024, account number 33736, 12337-403-000-00. 4E, action, consider possible action to approve budget amendments designated fund balance. 4F, action, consider possible action to accept donations to the district. Are there any that you wish to pull for separate discussion? Anybody? Any that you pulled for discussion? Okay, then if we're not pulling any, then I need to hear a motion for the consent agenda items.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented by administration.
Motion made by Trustee Morales. Do I hear a second? I second the motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented by administration. All in favor? Trustee Morales, Trustee Barrera, Trustee Johnson, Trustee Falcon, Trustee Peña, and Trustee Martinez. And motion passes. Moving on. Item number 5. Closed meeting. The board will now convene in a closed meeting to discuss items as allowed by the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551.071, .072, .073, .074, .076, .089, .082, .0821, .087, .0785, 418.183F, and/or Texas Education Code 39.0308. No voting will take place in the closed meeting. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussions in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in the open meeting. The time is 7:22 p.m.
got it. Public votes have to be.
Anybody here? The time is 8:02 p.m. and the Board of Trustees of Premont ISD now reconvenes into open session. So moving down to 7, instruction, students, governance, personnel, business and support, facilities, maintenance, and operations. 7A, action, consider possible action on item pulled from consent agenda, none. 7B, consider possible action regarding appointments, resignations, reassignments, terminations, and changes to contractual and non-contractual positions of personnel, none. And 7C, action, consider possible action to approve contract recommendations for employment of classroom teachers and other professional staff for the 25-26 school year. We have none. So, item number 8. There being no further business on the agenda, this meeting is adjourned at 8:03 p.m. Thank you very much.